a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show, always helping you win in any marketplace, serving as your consumer advocate, your local real estate economist of choice here in Tampa Bay, the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty sponsoring this program. We got a great lineup. We're going to have Alex Lima in studio with us today, Anil Balkasoon. We're going to talk about real estate flips and the kind of the Airbnb short-term rental side of real estate. And we're going to be kicking off here with criminal defense attorney Anthony Rickman, change in gun laws, permitless carry getting ready to kick in. Hunter and the DOJ and a lot of stuff happening there as well. And before we do, we always like to feature our real estate listings as a way to help our sellers profit more and sell faster. We like to feature our listings live on air as part of our strategy for maximum exposure. 13906 Bardmore Place, Unit B here in Tampa. This is a great opportunity. Beautiful, completely renovated and updated townhome here. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. You got a 1-car garage as well. Almost 2,100 square feet of living space. Hurricane impact windows put in. Brand new stainless steel appliances, large pantry, 5-person jacuzzi tub as well that does convey with the property. Neutral colors and just a great opportunity. Stainless steel appliances. 13906 Bardmore Place, Unit B in Tampa. It's in Carrollwood. Great opportunity there for a nice renovated home. We also have a hot listing here at 3704 Burger Road in Lutz. This is a mansion for sale. We've got a 10,000 square foot, 10 bedrooms property here, 12 bathrooms, no HOA. You got an indoor pool with a full bar, oversized deck, tennis court, library, movie theater, sauna, 2 master suites, a grand balcony, and more. 3704 luxury property here. 3704 Burger Road in Lutz, Florida, Hillsborough County. You can see all of our listings, PlatinumCoastalElite.com. Check us out online, PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
And yeah, I'm racing my class to those saving our ass overseas.
All right, we got Anthony Rickman back in studio. Welcome back, sir.
Thanks for having me back.
My pleasure. Been busy out there?
Real busy.
Yeah.
A lot of crime doesn't stop.
Crime doesn't stop. That's right. You've been a couple times. You're like, hey man, I got this deposition, I got this court case, and so it's been a little while since we had you in. But let's catch up on some of the stuff. What are you seeing out there? And you had mentioned some of the changes in laws too.
So we talk about crime not stopping. Is that we have a new law going into effect, and that law allows permitless carry here in the state of Florida. Now, originally, some legislators wanted to be open carry, like some states have. The legislature didn't go as far as a lot of gun right activists wanted. But they did allow what's called permitless carry. And what that means is that you no longer need a concealed weapons permit to carry a gun in a concealed fashion, either on your person or in your vehicle. Now, traditionally, for many years, we'd have to apply to the Department of Agriculture, get your fingerprints, background check, do that 4-hour course or longer, submit that all to the Department of Agriculture, and then you get approved for a concealed weapons permit.
Yep.
That is now changed. That you no longer have to meet those prerequisites to get a concealed carry permit.
Yeah.
And now citizens can carry firearms without a permit. And, that could have good and bad effects now because we have people who have we as citizens have the Second Amendment, the right to carry firearms.
Shall not be infringed on.
Shall not be infringed on the right to bear arms. And there has to be a balance now between when the government can infringe and when they can't, and they can't.
Right.
And this law now prohibits the government from really infringing on citizens' rights to carry guns concealed. Now, the right to carry a gun is different than the right to use a gun. And despite the fact that people, can carry a gun, they still have to use it and possess it lawfully.
Yeah.
Now, the concealed carry permit, the new law, doesn't allow you to possess a firearm if you're disqualified, whether it be from a convicted felon or a drug user like Hunter Biden. We'll get into that, I'm sure. It doesn't allow you to carry guns in those circumstances. But a person who's lawfully allowed to carry a gun and not disqualified from carrying a firearm can now carry a gun.
Yeah.
And we talk about, carrying versus using, stand your ground law. We talk about the laws of self-defense. I know on your show we discuss it a lot.
Yep.
People still, when using that gun, they have to do it lawfully.
Right.
Because you're at a red light and someone gives you the finger, doesn't give you the right to shoot that finger off. Okay.
Right.
You still got to follow the law's rights to use of deadly force and stand your ground.
Fun fact: when I first got mine concealed years ago, the commissioner in the state of Florida was a guy named Charles Bronson.
Yep.
Wasn't that weird?
I think I got it saved. Yeah, I got the saved.
It was such a joke too. Like everybody's like, "Wait, Bronson, wasn't he like a crime movie?" Yeah, he was, but he was also the commissioner. Let's jump right into some of the politics stuff too going on. This censure that just happened with Schiff is just wow. The third person only in this century to have this happen. Schiff got censured for lying.
This week, California Congressman Adam Schiff became only the third member of the House of Representatives to be censured by that body in the 21st century. The vote to punish the Democrat representative was 213 to 209, solely on party lines, with 6 Republicans voting present. Schiff has since responded. Here to discuss this, Daily Wire.
He was basically saying, "Hey, I've personally seen this evidence." Yeah. He's deceiving the American people, and finally, someone gets called out for it.
Well, and I think it's more important not just this issue, but what else Schiff has really spearheaded. Like J6, he's on the committee. He's done a lot of things that go beyond the Russian hoax that he was censured for. So when you talk about a member of Congress being censured, really it's a slap on the wrist. It's more figurative than a real sanction to him, but it does. It's a big knock on him and his power within Congress. Yeah. And you have to look not just at what happened here, but his motivation behind it and what else he potentially had his hand on. That we elect these officials because we want truth, we want honesty, we want transparency in government, and obviously we don't get that. Now we have a member of Congress, a high-ranking member of Congress, on many committees that were involved in taking down Donald Trump or attempting to, being censured.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, man. And to see that as well. The huge news the last couple of days, there's another clip for you got Ted Cruz talking about the Hunter interference, the Biden interference, and then you also have this Chinese Communist Party whistleblower. Well, the whistleblower comes out in the text that's been infamous now.
Well, the whistleblowers that we heard from yesterday, it's really quite stunning. So the House Ways and Means Committee released transcripts of interviews with 2 IRS whistleblowers who came forward and said that the Biden Justice Department actively, aggressively interfered in the investigation of Hunter Biden, that they protected Hunter Biden, that they blocked felony charges against Hunter Biden, that they prevented the investigation from in any way, shape, or form asking about Joe Biden. These transcripts, they're stunning. They are anyone who cares about the rule of law. Look, I get this is a.
He goes on to talk about how of course Democrats will typically come out on one side, Republicans will come out on the other. But if you care about the rule of law, Anthony, and you passing the bar, being a practicing attorney, this is dealing with a major. This is the rule of law. We have to protect that.
Oh, we have Lady Justice, right? And she has the scales of justice balancing them off, and she's covered with the blindfold. And the reason is justice is supposed to be blind. Look at the law, follow the facts, and the facts lead to a criminal charge. And it shouldn't matter if your last name is Biden, Trump, or it doesn't matter.
Anyone.
And if you violate the law, then that is what the law was created for. It should be enforced.
Yep.
And here we see selective enforcement.
Yep.
Not just selective enforcement. We see a person in a position of power because of who his father is, not being prosecuted by the same Justice Department that his father oversees as the President of the United States. So there is a big problem with what we have in this whole Hunter Biden situation. Those text messages. He's texting a Chinese official that I'm sitting right next to the big cheese. I'm sitting next to my dad, who has his hand on the button.
Yep.
Okay, could you imagine if this was a Trump son texting that, hey, my dad Donald's next to me?
Yeah.
It would be front page news every single day. We wouldn't be hearing about the submersible for 2 weeks. We'd be hearing about Joe Biden or Donald Trump in that circumstance. Yeah. But we don't hear about it because we know what we get. We get it in the media. Yeah. When you have a text message to this individual making demands basically on behalf of the President of the United States, that is political corruption at its finest. And then you look even further with the evidence of the bribes, with the evidence of a money exchange, at least $10 million, 5 to Biden, 5 to his son. There are big problems here. And then one step further, we keep on peeling that onion, and we see a sweetheart plea deal in federal court where he's getting 2 misdemeanors, one of which he receives a diversion program for possessing a firearm when he shouldn't be allowed to possess it.
Yep.
Now, very few federal districts have diversion, and this district did, and they gave him the opportunity to complete a diversion program. On the tax case, he scores mandatory prison. It's over $1 million.
Wow.
When you talk about the sentencing guidelines, had his last name been Biden, maybe he most likely would have been charged with a felony. He'd be facing sentencing. He'd have to pay the restitution. I know he paid it back up front, but at the same time, did he pay it because he knew this was coming, or did he pay it because, hey, I did the right thing and paid it?
Right.
But at the end of the day, the crime was still committed.
Yeah.
And when we talk about justice, it should be applied equally across the board.
Yeah, amen, for sure. We're talking with Anthony Rickman. He's a local attorney here in Tampa Bay, criminal defense attorney right here in Tampa Bay. One of the biggest things, too, over the last, it was the anniversary of Roe versus Wade, the overturning. And I love this parody site, the Babylon Bee. It says 10 horrible things that happened since Roe versus Wade was reversed. Number one, literally millions of horrifying baby giggles. So now everyone has to hear the most delightful and pleasant sound on earth. Inflation, whose fault is that? Yeah, babies. Millions of dads now have less time to play video games. Hundreds of innocent corporations had to pay maternity leave. Some won't. Someone think of corporations. More toddlers are driving those annoying little popping vacuum things. So, anyways, yeah. So the overturning of Roe. I mean, that is a major. Again, contributed back to Trump's appointments.
Without a doubt, without the Trump appointments, then you wouldn't see the overturning of Roe. And really, what it did, it gave states the right to make the decision on how they regulate abortion within each individual state. And we see the majority of states now, or a large portion of the states, reversing and making it much harder, if not impossible, to get abortions. Mm-hmm. And that's based upon the Trump appointment.
Yes, exactly. And there was also there was a lot going on this week within the Supreme Court. I didn't keep up too close with it, but I know one was dealing with, what was the thing called? It was where you call it, I forgot the name of that one, but anyways, there's a lot going on. There's a busy week for the Supreme Court. Have you followed any of those?
Yeah, we're at the end of the term, and at the end of the term, we're going to be, seeing a lot of decisions coming down. There's some decisions coming down regarding affirmative action. We have issues with ownership rights, LGBT, loan forgiveness. So there are going to be a lot of decisions in the next few days coming down to the Supreme Court. I know there was a decision recently that didn't help Trump in relation to the election. People thought it may go his way,
yep.
But at the end of the day, it didn't.
Yeah, it's interesting. No, on a local level, what are you seeing here locally? Anything popping up? I know we've talked about in the past the serial killer.
Well, we talked about that case is over.
Yeah.
He reached a plea agreement with the state attorney's office where his life was spared. In exchange for his life being spared, he entered a guilty plea and he was sentenced to life in prison on those charges. So that case is over. We see cases every day. And this is we talk about a big city. We have big city crimes, big city problems.
Yeah.
As a criminal defense attorney, I'm handling a wide variety of cases. I handle everything, from a DUI to a DUI manslaughter. I handle first-degree murders, gun crimes. I can tell you that gun crimes tend to be starting to trend down. But if people have been arrested or accused, these, especially now with open carry, with permitless carry.
Permitless carry. Yep.
I anticipate seeing more of those cases of aggravated assault, aggravated battery, shooting somebody, or even murder or homicide or manslaughter because people think that they have the right to use their firearms. I do anticipate an uptick on those type of crimes. Because people have a gun, they don't know when you can flash it, when you could show it. When is someone in reasonable fear to take out that gun and brandish it and point it at somebody?
Right.
When is it reasonable fear to use deadly force of shooting somebody?
Yeah.
And those questions, are answered somewhat to a court, but they're really based upon the circumstances and the feeling of the individual who's in that fear.
Yeah.
And I do anticipate us seeing a lot more cases involving firearms, whether it be assaults, whether it be murders, whether it be second-degree murder. Second-degree murder is you don't know each other and there's ill will, spite, hatred, and you shoot somebody and it's not self-defense. Manslaughter, if you have a gun sitting out and someone takes that gun and uses it when they shouldn't, doesn't handle it correctly, somebody's killed.
Wow.
Then that's a manslaughter. So I do anticipate more of those type of cases, us seeing more of that with the law change.
Let me ask you this: going back to that serial killer case, it seems like there was a lot of proof and evidence against this person. What would prompt the prosecutors to allow him to live in, instead of getting a trial, go to death penalty?
So a lot goes into that, factors into what the state does in those cases. Number one, the wishes of the victim. The wishes of the victim's family, next kin. They have a say. And I know in this case there were a lot of families who said, hey, we don't want to go through a trial. the long, prolonged trial is not going to do anything. At the end of the day, he's going to die in prison. The second thing, as we know in this particular case, the defense filed multiple motions to suppress evidence, alleging that this defendant was unlawfully detained for an extended period of time, 3 to 4 hours, without the right to an attorney, without the right to water, taken to headquarters. So the defense moved to exclude evidence in this case, including the firearm which they recovered and the statement. So rather than going to hearing and having the possibility of losing that motion, because they lose the motion, state loses that motion, and the judge suppresses, means excludes key evidence of the government's case, then it's much weaker than the state has at trial than it is now.
Right.
So rather than running that risk, rather than possibly losing this case because the judge decides to exclude this evidence, he's going to die in prison. He's not going to get die through the death penalty. The state decided to make this offer, and at the end of the day, he's convicted. He's never going to see the light of day, and we don't have that risk now of him going through that, going through appeals, going through motion hearings.
Got it.
The other thing, look, Nicholas Cruz, that guy's the worst of the worst. He killed kids in Parkland.
Oh, the Parkland
shooter.
Unbelievable.
And this jury spared him death.
Yeah.
Okay? Why even risk it if you can get a conviction? On the guilt phase.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Anthony Rickman, more with Anthony coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. More with Anthony. Going to talk local laws, what's going on in the political scene, and more with Anthony here coming up. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, everybody, it's the Captain, Matt Bruce, and you're listening to my buddy, Brandon Rhymes, a consumer quarterback. Sell, Brandon, sell.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Rhymes here. Keller Williams Realty, top listing team here in Tampa Bay, helping sellers sell faster for more money. We help sellers with vacant land, commercial, and residential property. 7202 US Highway 301 South in Riverview. This is a commercial property that we just listed. Corner lot location. You got an office space there and a mechanic shop next door. So 2 properties in one. Premium corner lot commercial property. 7202 US Highway 301 South in Riverview. Great opportunity there for the commercial buyers. 605 Monterey Avenue in Clearwater. Residential home, single family home. You got no neighbors on one side, and just a great floor plan. Beautiful home here, well designed, and a great layout. Beautiful flooring, stainless steel appliances, updated kitchen. Everything's looking beautiful in this home. You have a pool, screened-in pool with a nice patio, lanai area, and a great opportunity. 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2163 square feet, 605 Monterey Avenue in Clearwater. Check out all of our real estate listings at PlatinumCoastalElite.com.
This is God's country.
Criminal defense attorney Anthony Rickman here in studio, and I've heard teen racers are a big issue in Tampa Bay, but I remember growing up, I had a fast car, and we wanted to kind of figure out how fast it is when we're 16 years old.
Yeah, and it's gotten really bad here in Tampa. I have a lot of cases where my clients charged with vehicular homicide, where they're charged with racing or serious crimes because of racing activity, and racing isn't always what you think, right? Sitting together at a stoplight, a red light, waiting for the light to turn green, these rev your engines and going. Now, racing has different forms. Racing is an exhibition of speed. It's ability to get to a distance before another person, or a time or demonstration of speed. You can have a race with one car, and what we're seeing now in Tampa is that something called a takeover, and what these racers are doing is they're shutting down streets essentially.
Wow.
Doing donuts in the streets, doing spin outs, and then taking over major streets and thoroughfares. A couple days ago, there was one of those takedowns or takeovers that was set up, and law enforcement took it down. They came out, they made over 15 arrests of individuals involved in alleged street racing. And with the street racing crime, it's not just the person who's racing who can get charged. You can charge a passenger. You can charge a spectator. Obviously, charge the driver. There was a case that was recently over in Pinellas County where somebody took their child to a street racing event, and one of the cars ran off the road and killed his own child.
Wow.
He was charged with vehicular homicide because he took or manslaughter because he took his child to that event.
Wow.
Where they were racing as a spectator, and the child was then killed. So, in these type of cases, there are very high consequences. They'll seize your car on a misdemeanor for 30 days. They'll pay at least a $500 fine. You'll have mandatory adjudication, meaning you have a conviction on the record for the rest of your life, and you're going to lose your license.
Wow.
So if you've been accused or charged with racing, it's important to hire a good attorney who knows how to handle these cases to show, it's not just, they have to show more of just speed. They have to show a demonstration, exhibition, or a race. a competition to outgain or outdistance somebody.
Wow.
And we see these cases. There are a lot of them. It's dangerous for drivers on the roadway.
Yep.
Innocent people are killed. So it's important to know the consequence. But if you are charged, you get a good attorney to handle it.
Yeah, and you handled the Bayshore.
I did. And in that case, unfortunately, my client wasn't even, was the person who was not involved, did not hit them. You talk about a race, two people. And under Florida law, if there is a race and an innocent third party is killed, both racers can be charged with that homicide.
Wow.
And that's what the unfortunate thing that happened in that particular case where a woman and her child lost their lives.
Unbelievable. All right, so we got just a couple of minutes left here. Tell me what's happening with the latest in the Donald J. Trump.
Last night, CNN leaked a story, or released a story, involving the leak of the audio of Trump, talking to journalists and individuals about the documents that he had. And really, it's number one, it's horrible that we have this Department of Justice, this system that is supposed to secure evidence.
Right.
But this evidence gets leaked to CNN.
Yep.
The leak should be stopped, and whoever leaked it should be prosecuted.
Right.
Number one. Doesn't negate the fact of what's on that tape.
Yeah.
That, in my opinion, does not bode well for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He's on tape saying that if I were president, I could declassify this, but I'm not, so I can't. But yet he's showing a classified document, allegedly, to whoever he's sitting with. You can hear papers ruffling. You can hear him talking about these documents being secret, acknowledging what we call in law consciousness of guilt, right? Acknowledging that he shouldn't be showing these documents that are classified. And one of the biggest knocks on Donald Trump is he can't get out of his own way.
Right.
And it's a lot of his policies have been great for America, but his mouth has always got him in trouble.
Right.
And in this particular situation, I think that we see that again.
Yeah.
We see that he's talking about things he shouldn't be talking about. He's doing things he really shouldn't be doing. I mean, at the end of the day, turn over those documents. We win the election. You can declassify, do everything you want. But now we have a situation that's really it's a black eye in our country that we have a president now indicted, not just in New York now, but in federal court. And he's running for president again.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
It is. It is very interesting. The ongoing saga, especially politics, it's up to this level of like, wow, you just don't see it happening. You got Hunter Biden accepting money, the 10% for the big guy, all these different things. One side's ignored, mostly ignored. The other side, of course, to hammer down on a library book.
We know the documents, right? Biden has documents. Pence has documents.
Yep.
Trump's still on prosecuted. That's where we talk about justice not being blind.
Yeah, that's right. Anthony, always a pleasure, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. And taking a quick break, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about real estate, investments, flipping, and also Airbnb short-term rentals strategy with Anil Balkasoon coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Make sure you follow us online at BrandonRhymes1 on Instagram, Twitter, at CQB Show. And, of course, we'd love for you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Brandon Rhymes Realty. Like and subscribe. We'll be right back. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.